You know, the very first part I played, the old Vic, was Ophelia in Hamlet, and suddenly to be told that an ancestor of mine was actually in Elsinore.
So Tycho Brahe was at his uncle's castle. At the castle, he observed the sky and saw a star which he had never noticed before.
Tycho's observations were at the forefront of a revolution in scientific thinking about the universe. The stars were no longer seen as fixed heavenly bodies, but part of a moving and changing cosmos.
Now the Danish king gave him an island where he could build his observatory. This is the Danish king, Frederik II, portrayed here on a tapestry. And in front of this castle, we see Tycho Brahe standing here in conversation. And Beate Bille, the sister of Sten and the mother of Tycho, she was a lady-in-waiting of the queen at the castle. And the castle was built in the Danish town Helsingør. And do you know Helsingør?
Helsingør. Yes, why do I know that?
You might know it better. You might know the English name better. Elsinore.
It's Elsinore.
Yeah, that's.
Judi has discovered that her 10 times great aunt Beate Bille was a lady-in-waiting at Kronborg Castle in Helsingør, which Shakespeare named Elsinore, the setting for his play, Hamlet.
So we know that she took up the position of Mistress of the Robes or Chief Lady-in-Waiting in 1584, and that she was with Queen Sophie for 8 years. So that takes us up to 1592, which is the period when a certain playwright in London is beginning to make his mark on the world, isn't it?
It certainly is. We've always called him the man who pays the rent. Mikey, my husband, and I
love it.
Have always called him that.
Yes. Here is a picture of Tycho, and if you look very closely at the heraldic shields around Tycho, do you read what it says here? Guildenstern. And if we go up a little bit further, 1, 2, 3, to this heraldic shield here, Rosencrantz.
What? So those were part of his family?
Those were part of his family.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Exactly.
Who Shakespeare?
The names of Tycho Brahe's ancestors, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, are also the names of devious characters in Shakespeare's Hamlet.
What then is the connection then? Did Shakespeare just read about them and think they were fascinating names, or?
And this is an image from one of his books that he published.
Yes.
So, because these scientific discoveries became so famous, it's quite possible that his books and his writings would have found their ways to people in London who might have known Shakespeare. Do you see how Tycho has inserted his own motto here, on this side and on this side? And his motto reads, non habere sed esse in Latin, which translates to something like, not what seems, but what
is, but
exactly. But what is. Does that remind you of anything?
Yes, seems, madam, nay, it is. It's practically a line from Hamlet.
Because King Frederick and Queen Sophie were such lovers of the arts, and because they held these lavish parties and banquets, they had entertainers here, and the entertainers came from all over Europe. So we have...
You're not telling me there was a tour, an English tour of...
There was, in fact, an English tour. In fact, there were several. The name that we can read here, if we look very closely, says Wilhelm Kemp. Does that name...
Will Kemp? Is that Will Kemp?
It's Will Kemp.
Will Kemp was a famous actor who worked with Shakespeare at the Globe Theatre in London. Shakespeare even wrote roles specifically for Kemp to show off the actor's comic talents.
This document tells us that Will Kemp was here in the summer months of 1586. And what's more, Beate Biele would have seen him, wouldn't she?
She would have, yes, she would have seen it.
So Will Kemp, who then went back to London and worked with William Shakespeare, was here.
Well, maybe the stories that Will Kemp brought back could have been some kind of inspiration to Shakespeare to write about Elsinore and write the story of Hamlet.
I think it
could have been